Portugal, a land of vibrant cities and culture, quiet roads, moody weather, stunning skies, magnificent light, sandy beaches, rocky coasts where waves crash against colorful cliffs, peaceful cycling on gravel paths and seaside cycle routes, beautiful landscapes, and the serenity of nature. This is Cycling Portugal. The international leg of my around-the-world cycle journey began with a beautiful flight into the city of Porto. After touching down, I quickly unpacked and reassembled my bike, then set off on bike path to the Atlantic coast. Having just left the cold, snowy weather of Canada behind, the warm breeze blowing off the ocean was a welcome refreshment, and I breathed in the salty ocean air, feeling the first taste of freedom in this new continent. A short ride brought me into the heart of Porto, where I immediately found myself immersed in the sights and sounds of its vibrant culture. After a full day walking the cobbled streets exploring the city, I pedaled south, beginning the journey along the Portuguese coast. Leaving the bustle of the city behind, I found myself on high-quality bike paths, with a drizzly sky bringing vibrance to the peaceful landscapes. Through small communities, forests, and farmlands, my peaceful first full day of cycling brought me to the town of São Jacinto under a beautiful evening sky. Fierce winds picked up from the ocean, and I spent the first night in my new tent, camped in cozy comfort behind the shelter of some dunes and bushes. The winds remained strong into the morning, and after waiting several hours for them to die down, I boarded a ferry across the mouth of the Aveiro Lagoon. The sky remained gray and heavy as the winds blew. A feeling of soulful solitude settled over me as I pedaled onwards. The land here seems to be quiet and empty, devoid of the color and culture I'd left behind the day before. But I was fully content with quiet paths and peace. With strong rains forecasted through the night, I settled into rest at the local camping park in Praia de Mira. The day began with a peaceful ride through the Dunas de Mira. For 25 kilometers, this quiet road cut through a magical landscape of rolling dunes, shrubs, and forest. As I passed through the quiet town of Quiaios, golden sunset light illuminated the sky, and I arrived back at the coast just in time for a spectacular dusk. Before camping the night at a beautiful overlook above Cabo Montego. Morning mists blew in off the ocean, and the city of Figueira da Foz below awoke amidst scattered showers and the rising sun. A nice descent brought me into the city, where after a few hours in a cafe waiting out the rains, I continued on south. Eucalyptus plantations lined the route. Although planted monoculture forests, these were still beautiful and serene to ride through. The winds blew directly from the south, a strong headwind that only seemed to grow with the distance I covered. But despite the winds and increasing rain, idyllic bike paths still kept me safe and happy. The clouds began to break ahead, and blue skies returned as I once again reached the coast. My reward for making it through the rainstorm appeared as a vivid rainbow adorning the sky, as I passed the Pinedo da Saudade lighthouse. Finally eager to cover some rain-free distance, I cycled on into the dusk light, arriving in the clifftop neighborhood of Sitio and Nazaré, overlooking the lights of the city and beach below. Strong rains returned soon after, and I took shelter in a guest house for the night. Morning brought clearer skies, with a beautiful view out over the city. Below the Nazaré lighthouse, here are found the largest waves in the world. Unique underwater topography channels the swell into huge waves commonly of 15 meters tall, and with record heights of 30 meters. But the swell was not in my favor for big wave viewing this day. As I pedaled out of the city, dodging scattered showers, the road took me up and over lush green hills, with spectacular sweeping views out over the ocean. Winding my way through the hills, I followed quiet gravel paths high above the ocean below. As the sun set, another spectacular rainbow lit the sky behind me as I cycled along the beautiful shores of the Obidos Lagoon. What a beautiful world! Look at this! Wow! In the fading dusk light, I carried on through small villages into the hills and sought refuge in my tent for the night behind a small local museum. And of course, more rains fell through the night. Quite a familiar experience at this point. At last, morning broke with drier skies. It was such an ecstatic feeling to be riding again in gorgeous weather, enjoying the vibrancy of the beautiful Portuguese landscapes and the magical light along the coast. Here I reached one of the most spectacular sections of the Eurovelo 1 route in Portugal. An empty and stunningly scenic gravel road perched high on cliffs above the crashing waves of the Atlantic. For the rest of the day, I traveled along pleasant roads, and after a dinner at dusk in the town of Magoito, found a spectacular wild camping spot on an abandoned fort, overlooking the beach as I listened to the waves crash against the rugged coast below. On the distant horizon, the lighthouse of Cabo da Roca flashed its signal. This spot was my mission in the morning for a very important milestone in the journey. Blue skies and beautiful roads led me towards the Cape, through the photogenic town of Dunas de Mira, up gravel paths, and finally freewheeling down a small hill to Cabo da Roca. This is the westernmost point of continental Europe, and from this marvelous viewpoint above the Atlantic, my journey would all be trending eastwards. From a nearby road crest, lush green hills sprawled out below, with the suburbs of Lisbon starting to be seen in the distance. At the coast in Cascais, I made it back onto spectacular bike path, a welcoming route towards the awaiting city of Lisbon. On a mix of cycle paths and seaside roads, I followed the coast into the city. Bathed in glowing sunset light, I passed the 16th century Belém Tower, a symbolic gateway to the city, and the Monument of the Discoveries, a tribute to the Portuguese age of exploration. And at last, I cycled under the 25th of April bridge and was in the heart of the city of Lisbon. I spent a few days here in a lively hostel, taking time to explore the city and enjoy its vibrant sights and sounds. After one final torrential morning downpour, the skies cleared, and I boarded a ferry across the mouth of the Tagus River to the city of Almada. The Eurovelo route through the city was frankly a bit chaotic at first, but I soon found myself back on peaceful roads, winding through forests and pastoral countryside. As the sun dipped low in the sky, I entered the stunning Arabida Natural Park, perched high in the hills with sweeping views of the ocean below. A long and winding descent brought me down to the Arabida Coastal Road, passing between idyllic white sandy beaches and towering cliffs as the dusk light faded away. made a quick dinner stop in the city of Setúbal, with Christmas lights shimmering throughout the streets, then caught a final evening ferry across the mouth of the Sado River estuary. I spent the night at a beautiful camp spot next to the beach on the estuary side of the Troia Peninsula. And in the morning, awoke to peaceful water and the ever-present company of the local morning fishermen. Making my way south off the peninsula, I followed bike paths and then quiet roads paralleling the coast. Finding a lunch stop was simple, as frequent small roads connected down to the beach, where the sun shone brightly above, sandy shores stretched to the horizon, and storks nested above atop poles and chimneys. A short stint on the highway brought me into the town of Sines, with its peaceful fishing harbor and shipping port. There's something magical about the light in Portugal, as it filters through coastal fog, softening the world at dusk. And it was with this magical light that I arrived in the serene town of Vila Nova de Mil Fontes, where I took another rest day to savor the beautiful atmosphere. After crossing the Mira River, quiet roads continued. This region of Portugal felt particularly tranquil. Farms, forests, and rolling hills made up the landscape, with red-roofed villages dotting the countryside. I passed through the small town of Algarve as sunset light illuminated the hills, then carried on for a brief night ride to spend the night near the Carapatera cliffs. This was a stunning place, with numerous clifftop viewpoints stretched magnificently above the rocks and crashing waves below. Choosing to skip an out and back to the southwestern tip of Portugal, I instead continued cycling through magnificent countryside to the Algarve coast. As the towns and cities grew larger once again, the road became busier, and I cycled a good distance on the highway to reach the 7 hanging valleys before nightfall. It was Christmas Eve, and I had the entire area all to myself. What a perfect spot to spend the holiday, with serenity, ocean-carved cliffs, and the vast Atlantic to keep me company. Although away from family and friends, I couldn't ask for a better spot to wake up for my first Christmas on the bicycle. After a delicious Christmas morning breakfast at a cafe in the nearest town, I enjoyed a fantastic day of cycling. With most folks at home, the roads were incredibly quiet, and the riding magnificent. More magical evening light led me into the town of Faro, where I found a hostel for the night and was able to celebrate the holiday on call with family back home. My final full day in Portugal brought crystal clear blue skies and a well-signed and high-quality Eurovelo route. A dream ride to cap off the journey through this magnificent country. In the town of Cachelia Velha, I enjoyed the splendor of a beautiful dusk, then pushed on into the night to find a splendid camp spot near the Vila Real de Santo Antonio. Close by, the mouth of the Guadiana River emptied into the ocean, marking the border with Spain. I was thankful for my wonderful time in this beautiful country, and as the stars twinkled above, I drifted off to sleep on my final night in Portugal.